Alright, hey, Sergio. I've been meaning to make a little video for a while now. Um, After getting out of prison on Tuesday, I don't know what to say. I don't want it to be wrong. I've been sort of caught up in, you know, sort of talking to specific people. But I'd like to say something to the whole Bega XR community and group, and also to the new recruits. Hello and welcome. Um, I've been a little bit like this should be a perfect, thing or something, but I've decided I'm terrible at making things perfect. But rather, I'm gonna make this short video saying thanks to, giving a few of my thoughts and thank yous, etc. To the bigger community. I'm now in Brisbane on a roof because I thought, why not? Just for old time's sake. So yeah. Firstly, awesome job, everyone. Thank you so much for all of your hard work. We have a lot ahead of us. I will be obviously working with you as much as I can, and supporting your efforts, because I think that supporting people on the front line of the climate crisis, the actual victims, I think they have the trauma and the ability to understand what the suffering of our failure means, and I think thus the ability to step up. And as we've seen, we've already filled the bigger police station. We've made our headlines, and we've only just begun. So yeah, what to say? There's lots of things that I want to say and that I want to do. First of all, I want to keep on basically empowering people in your area, potentially even sort of broader in the regional areas, as to basically not to feel like you're separate from this death machine, this human community of people trying to bring down this treasonous murder machine. Used that word twice, didn't I? But anyway, point is that I feel like the regional areas have been told, you sort of, you matter if you're in a swing seat, or you got to get your little piece of land or something, and that the rebellion happens in the city. It's kind of true. The rebellion obviously happens in the city where the power is, where the guns are, but it starts where the violence, where the oppression comes to a head, and that is in the bush. That is in towns that are suffering from drought, from wealth, sort of inequality, and food insecurity. So yeah, basically, one thing that I want to let you all know is that you have as much ability, and potentially more ability, to change the world from where you sit there in Bega than anyone does here in this monstrous city of Sydney. There's lots of reasons why that's the case, I think, but ultimately I obviously we'll call upon our forces, I guess, to central power struggles at times, but ultimately what I want the bigger community to do is to have a rebellion anyway, and to basically win without us. And what winning means, in my opinion, in Bega is, now of course our Extinction Rebellion, Extinction Rebellion's goal is to ultimately have all regimes in the world simultaneously collapse under social pressure, to install binding citizens' assemblies and transition to immediate decarbonisation and net zero emissions by 2025. So that's that's the goal. That's what we need to do. Now, of course, it seems insurmountable, but really it seems insurmountable for anyone you talk to. It seems insurmountable for Joe Biden, for heads of state, for everyone, because we're part of our community. And basically, what I want to tell you is that you've got more say in this than Joe Biden does, because you've experienced the trauma and you're willing to actually do what needs to be done. And folks like that just aren't, but we can force them to through our actions. So what does winning mean for Bega, right? So there's this big notion about the cities here, like in Australia, well, in movement building in general. You go to the cities to do your power struggle, but in Australia the population is spread out anyway. There's 5 million here in Sydney, 4 something in Melbourne, 2.8 or so in Brisbane. I don't even know the others because it's so East Coast centric, you know what I mean? But actually we're spread out anyway. So the situation for, all that, there's no city to go to. All cities face this issue. Even a city like Sydney faced the issue of, well, we can fill the police stations, we can blockade the ports, we can declare an autonomous zone, and declare, the city of Sydney in rebellion against, the other 20 million people in this country. But will that make the government concede? Who knows? So the situation is that we're gonna have to take back the power, person by person, right? You go into rebellion against this government, it means non-cooperation. It means actively breaking its laws, challenging it, and inviting other people to basically not cooperate with it, because of course it's not cooperating with its responsibilities to us. And I think that scales up. It scales up from you going into rebellion yourself. It scales up to you getting a group of people into rebellion, an affinity group, a local group, an action group. And then that's going to keep going because, or at least it basically will, because as I said, the real goal is to eliminate all fossil fuel use, in the next few years. How can winning here in Australia do that, right? So, we should just throw our hands up. No. We're going to go person by person, country by country, and basically begin the wave of rebelling against whoever is still committing the crime of putting carbon dioxide into the air. And so what winning means for Bega, I think, is that the region of Bega Valley is declared a rebellion against the Australian government, right? It doesn't cooperate with the taxes, doesn't cooperate with its military, its policing, doesn't cooperate with the New South Wales government, unless the New South Wales government also goes into rebellion against the Australian government. This is what it means. So how do you do that? Well, same as always, right? Because, you do that the same way that you get Australia to go into rebellion against, ultimately the rest of the world. Because the rest of the world is still complicit, right? So, same sitch. Your situation is that you've got to get Bega in rebellion against the rest of the world, against, emitting carbon dioxide. I hope that sort of makes sense. But, so basically, same situation as the civil resistance model. So what does going to the city mean then? Going to the city means you go to, where people are, right? You go to the main street. It means you go to the highway. It means you go to the mall. whatever that means for Bega, the big area, the whole sort of valley potentially. We can go sort of small, like town by town if we need. We'll see. But ultimately, what winning means is that Bega declares an autonomous zone and in rebellion against the Australian government. And the way to get there is to have the emergency services, anyone with the means of exploitation and violence, defect against the Australian government. We already have, it seems to me, the fire department that is on the fucking front line, just like you guys, suffering on the beach. They're on the front line against this government. They're all basically already in rebellion, trying to put out its fucking fires. And they have already said, just based on myself and Annabelle getting on the roof and their cooperation to get us down, that was a mistake and that they will not be cooperating with the police for protest activity to do with climate change. Okay, 1 of 3, that's pretty good. So next, of course, is getting the paramedics and the medical emergency services to defect against the Australian government and the police force. The police will be the last to defect, but they will. They will defect when they can't operate their police station, because of course we are physically taking up all of the space in the police station. By the way, the amount of space in the police station is about 2 people. That's about the capacity. 3 to make sure the job is done. They can't do their job if they can't leave their driveway. So if people are sitting in front of their driveway, that's the occupation, right? The occupation is on the street, shaming the police for enforcing this treasonous government's laws and inviting them into rebellion to set up a exclusion zone, an autonomous zone, and to not criminalize your actions and basically defect. This is, by the way, this is just standard procedure for rebellion. I'm not sort of pulling stuff out of my bum. This is all taken out of the history books. So if they can't do their job, or they're not willing to cooperate with the instructions that they're getting, then they will be forced to either put down their badge, put down their gun, or whatever that means. But ultimately, there's not much police capacity in that area, as we've seen. In my opinion, 50 people, not even 50, 20 people in rebellion against the Australian government in Bega, meaning that they're in the streets breaking the law and being arrested for that day after day. 20 people can make a massive law enforcement crisis. Massive. Insurmountable. Which of course will lead to a political crisis, etc. But yeah, ultimately, my invitation to the people of Bega is to show these fucking cowards in the city. I want to show you these cowards. Anyway, show these cowards in the city fucking what it means to be in rebellion against your death, right? What it means once you've rebuilt your home, once you've fucking not breathing through a wet sock. So I'm just climbing this roof. I want to show you these fucking cowards in their fucking monstrosity city. Look at this bullshit. Here we are. Here we are. These fucking cowards don't give a fuck about you, okay? That's what I want you to know. And I want you to show these people that you're not going to take their bullshit, their exploitation, their fucking... Yeah, anyway, basically I want you to put Australian XR to shame. I want you to put XR around the world to shame with the power of facing up against, what your trauma means, what your community can do together against its collective death that has been imposed upon by these people here. Sorry. I don't climb roofs like this very often. I don't really know what the safety procedures are. Anywho, yeah, we can easily do that. 3.5% of Bega will guarantee this result. 3.5%. Do you know how much 3.5% of Bega is? That's 1,000 people. You take out the children and the elderly, 600 people, right? So what I want is ultimately for 100 people to sign up to being in rebellion against the government, which means being arrested, means going to prison. It means mobilizing your community in the streets day after day. I need 20 people to quit their jobs and to work full time. And I want everyone else that hasn't quit their job to put a portion of what they are earning into supporting those people that have quit their jobs and that are working full time. From that, if we can mobilize 100 people to be repeatedly, in the police station, in the streets, blocking the highways, and then, I don't even have to say and then, okay? Because what happens once you have that is you now have 500, 1,000, 5,000. I mean, fuck, it starts getting a bit hectic at this point, right? People that are actually coming out on the streets to join you. They might get arrested once, they might go to prison once, they might leave the road once, the police pull their guns out, who knows, right? But you will be, but that demonstration of your conviction repeatedly of a few dozen people will totally transform the whole Bega Valley. And what that will do, I can promise you this basically, I can promise you that if you succeed on what I'm saying here today, you will significantly change the course of this movement in Australia and in the world. If the Bega Valley can go into rebellion against the Australian government in the next 2 or 3 months, I believe that action may be that you can save the fucking world, that you can do the job, right? Because the situation is that everyone is sitting on their ass, sitting in these fucking meetings, dicking about messaging and just bullshit. You need to show these people what it means. And it turns out, since you've only got 30,000 people, you've only got a few fucking police stations, and all those people have suffered at the hands of the oppression of this government. Seriously, the demonstration of that will send waves around the world, just like what XR did in London. I'm serious. I'm fully serious about this. I want to teach you more about some of the details around around this sort of work and sort of I don't know what it requires and how to do it and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to be a little bit busy for the next few weeks, but after that I'm going to be basically with yous, working with some of your recruitment teams and stuff like that, and action teams, and I'll also be down there to do a bunch of arrestable actions with yous. In the meantime, or not in the meantime, what your duty is now, as you will see if you go to the Sunday meeting, I will pop in, by the way, on Sunday. What we're looking for is for all the people in XR and Bega to sign up to a date or an action in which they will be arrested. Of course, obviously that's the case because we're joining a rebellion. So obviously we have to do that. And I have a bunch of resources that I'd like to show you. For example, for all of the sort of recruiting and formation of teams. There's an incredible about 1.5 2 hour workshop by some awesome rebels in Western Australia that I've worked with, that go through all of the main points. Use that as your handbook. That's gold. Otherwise, in terms of understanding basically how a rebellion sort of works in our situation, there's the key elements of radical political mobilization, parts 1 and 2, which is just the title of basically Roger's workshop, which is basically a summary of his thesis on how revolutions happen, and what that means for XR, and it goes through 6 of the key points and goes into a bit of detail. So those are a few things. Yeah, sorry I haven't been able to talk to you all. Thanks so much for the flowers, by the way. Got the flowers, they smell so good. They're still so fragrant. Wow, it's a lot, really. And also, yeah, I'm super empowered, actually. I will tell you that I'm super empowered by you. Empowerment is a mutual thing. Like a band on a stage, getting vibes from the crowd. While I may have empowered you, you have also empowered me, and my success in that empowerment, it's mutual. So so thank you so much, and it was such an honor to meet such incredible people, and to the awesome people that I was arrested with, thank you so much for your awesome energies, and best of luck at court. I hope you tell them what's good for them. I have a bunch of other sort of requests, things like people not paying their fines. What else? I don't know. I guess there's other sort of stuff like people, logistics around quitting a job and all that kind of stuff. Probably should get a form up or something. Anyway, but if I don't know, I'm just gonna shout out a bunch of awesome people. Shout out to the family, Sally and Alistair, for sort of being propelled into this movement. I'm sure with your own convictions, but also with the sort of effect that your children have had on you. It's been an honor to work with your children. I'm going to go and see one of them today, which is good. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't do shout outs. I might miss people out. I figured. I don't know. Anyway, but thanks for having me, basically. And you can always call me. I'm committed to this process, and I will say that while I'm 21, I don't know why I should say this, but I think I should. It's that I'm an expert on this on this rebellion and this stuff. Anyway, you can lean on me, basically. I've got networks, connections, etc. What else to say? Well, I think, I've told you, what you need to do. Ultimately, just get out there and keep smashing into your community, bringing them to that point. Do you choose? What do you choose here today, while I'm in front of you now? Extinction or rebellion? Are you gonna, what are you gonna do? And I reckon that that yous can win in the next few months. Literally, I'm serious. If yous think, like, I think what failure is in Bega would be winning in 6 months. We don't have time for you to be dicking about, you know, we don't have time to fail. We've got to build a movement over a few weeks as much as possible with fierce actions, with the demonstration of what it means to be in rebellion, and through those actions call a mobilization, call a rebellion for the people of Bega to come out and create that political and law enforcement crisis. Call on the police to defect. Call on, defection of your ministers. Well, fuck politics. Don't do politics. No one cares about politics. They don't mean anything if they can't enforce their laws, etc. If their police and their emergency services aren't with them. So fuck that. They will follow. They will follow the people. They're followers. Make sure that you just keep going. Next day, get up. I want you back out on the streets. When you get out of the watch house, I want you to do a little bit of celebration, and then I want you back into the streets, because there's no going too quickly. Okay, I've demonstrated this time and time again. Won't go through the details, but it turns out I'm right. And by I'm right, I also mean turns out the history books were right. Yes, what does work somewhere else does work here, because we're all human, etc. But yeah, basically, what I'd be looking for, just to sort of maybe say kind of briefly, is basically for the Bega Valley to be doing arrestable actions at least once a week, potentially more, preferably more as we go on. What you're aiming for is 10 arrests every week. That can be the same 10 people. If it needs to be, it's totally chill. Also getting new people, into the watch house as soon as possible from when they've signed up. It's crucial. And then basically, I want within 6 weeks from now. So basically, if there hasn't been your mobilization, mass mobilization basically has to happen, I'd say, in August. Earlier is better than later. It can happen earlier if you like, but you only need 4 weeks of setup. And what setup is people going on the streets, calling a rebellion against the government, filling the police station every day, every few days for those 4 weeks, and then basically you'll see who comes out to sit on the Princess Motorway for that sort of fortnight of rebellion that you call, and see if the police defect and basically let you do it. And if they let you do it, then you keep shutting down parts of Bega until the police actually declare that they're going to go into rebellion against the Australian government. That's how it happens. But the first mobilization's basically got to happen August at the latest, preferably earlier on in August. Otherwise, shit will fizzle out, and from that point, you should be trying to call a mobilization shortly after that one. If it's not successful and if you don't win, sort of within 4 or 5 weeks. You can go less than that if you feel like you basically have everything ready to go. And but anyway, I'll be in touch. I'm gonna do maybe some movie night screenings and stuff when I'm not sort of in the police station and stuff. But so the reason why I'm going a little less available is I expect to spend the next sort of 5 to 7 days in preparation mode for about 20 days in a police station or prison. So you're gonna see me on the news. Maybe well, we'll see. It's a bit secret, that's why I can't sort of tell you everything. but I'm gonna be prepping to see a bunch of you there in Newcastle, where I'm heading now tonight, to meet up with the other vanguard, I guess, the vanguards, people of the movement. And if you're interested in joining me, I'd say it's pretty mandatory that you get on the front line. You can, I don't know, contact Sally or Annabelle or other people. There'll be carpooling opportunities. It's a 2-week sort of situation. Anyway, ask someone for some details. They'll give them to you securely. Anyway, onward to victory. Bega Valley. Let's get it. Thank you for listening. And please share to all of the people that have signed up. Thank you so much for being here. It's going really well. Don't slow down now. Full steam ahead. Love you all. Bye-bye.